and then you guys can see me. We're so excited, so we're going to demo a bunch of raw bread. She is the expert and knows her stuff when it comes to making the raw veggie bread. She has a course and it's so good. I've taken it and I want to share with you guys because I get so many questions and I just wanted to talk to the experts. So we're going to dive in. You guys can leave your questions or maybe even try to wait till the end so we don't miss any of them, okay? So I'm going to let Deanna take it over. Hi guys! Hi everyone! Thanks for saying hi. Let us know where you're from too. It's always fun to see where people are from. So.
And Suzi, you can shoot out questions too while I'm talking.
Okay, perfect.
So basically, this is a product that I loved so much and tried to actually launch it before Real Food Lab Cookies, and decided that everyone needed to know how to make this themselves because you actually learn how to personalize these breads. Okay, so the whole point of the course, and I'm going to demo some stuff today, but the whole point of the course is to just get familiar with how to bind certain ingredients together to create the perfect consistency for you, whether you want to do a vegetable wrap or a hamburger bun or a pizza crust, etc. And so why is this bread so amazing, you may ask? And it's because it's raw, you guys. So nutrient dense and food enzymes are preserved.
So awesome.
And kid approved. That's like the biggest thing. So how I quickly got into this, I actually was raw vegan about a decade ago. And that's, you hear our chickens in the background?
I love it. They literally live on a farm, you guys, in the city.
It's an urban farm. So I was raw vegan for a couple of years, and that's Marge. And that's how I really kind of dove in and became, quote, as Suzi would call me, which is super sweet and expert. Thank you.
You are.
So it was just a lot of practice, just daily practice over and over and over again. I went through like 6 or 7 different food processors by Cuisinart. That's how much I used it to perfect the breads that I've put into the course, and it's taken me probably a decade. So and that was the reason why, you know, we had trouble. I was telling Suzi like how to, you know, promote the course, and you know, just basically we have like a 10-minute tutorial in the course, and then 60 plus more recipes, because really it's not hard to make the bread, so it doesn't take long to teach you how to make it. And if you start practicing, you know, every day, you'll notice, oh, well, Deanna says to use like a cup of carrots and such, but I'd rather use this. Please go for it. That is what I want you to do, is to, you know, become your own master of these raw breads. So they have saved us with our daughter, Inez, who is 5.5, and she loves them in her lunch boxes. And I've actually made some, you guys. I want to kind of show you the consistency of how cool these are, and I'm actually going to have Suzi take these with her today.
So sweet.
So these ones have, I made these last night and it took me maybe 20 minutes. That's about it. So this is like an olive bread. And I think
at these, you guys.
Nezzy took one out, but
looks so nutrient dense.
Yeah. So here, and this is one pliable. So I know Suzi was saying that we have some questions about, you know, for those who have bought the course, my bread is cracking, how do I make it pliable? Or for those who have tried to make recipes I've done in the past and it hasn't quite turned out. That's the whole point of this course, is it basically makes you the master of how to have the perfect bread every single time, okay? Whether you want a cracker, whether you want a wrap, and how to know when you look at the batter in the food processor of how it's going to turn out, if that makes any sense at all.
Yes.
So basically what I mean by that is when I'm making batters and I'm creating in the kitchen and creating the recipes, I can look at it, and if it's got too much water, I'll know what to do to make it thicker to create a pizza crust. Or I'll look at the batter and say, okay, well, I want to create a cracker, so I'll know what to do in terms of adding flaxseed and so forth and how much, so it turns out and it actually tastes good.
So good.
Yeah, so that's the whole point of the course. And
I have a quick question.
Yeah, sure.
So someone says, how does dehydrating food alter sugar in fruits and veggies?
Okay, that's a really good question. So apparently, so what I hear is that it increases the sugar by drying out fruit. Okay, I don't know a ton about that, but I don't use fruit in my recipes generally. I just find that there's no need. I'd rather eat fruit by the whole and have our daughter eat fruit whole, but it does increase the sugar. So good point though, because Suzi, like when you go to certain natural foods markets and they have wraps pre-made, a lot of them have dates and fruit in them, and they're super high in sugar, like 10 grams of sugar per serving. I'm like, well, that kind of defeats the purpose of like this healthy bread. And then they don't taste good and they're super leathery. So I haven't been satisfied with the ones that have been out there. I know that Lily's, I forget the name of one brand that's really good, but there's been like 1 or 2 brands I actually like. And so I think it's much better to make them at home yourself, and especially with kale chips as well, which Suzi has been loving.
Yeah, I love her kale chips.
Yeah, they're
make
pretty
them
good.
every week. They're so good. Yeah.
So good. So a couple of things that I use in the recipes. I just want to show you guys, like, for example, this bread here is made, like, basically there's this much mixed dark leafy greens in here, okay, in a batch.
So awesome.
So I'm using like this many vegetables, you guys. So it's just another way to eat your salad, and it's better digested because it is blended up, all right? So it is good for those who have problems eating salads and feeling the bloat from the fiber. So you can, it's all packed in this convenient bread, which is great on countertop, or you can store it in the fridge. You can take it camping for those who travel a ton, like pilots or airline stewardess. It's perfect for on the go to stick in your purse. So it's really like amazing. And again, for us, it was like our kids' lunch, right?
Yeah.
So Nezzy loves this. And then you can make sandwiches and put even more vegetables inside and good fats like avocado, and make like the perfect meal. So
I'm gonna ask another question.
Yes,
Someone,
please.
you kind of touched on it, but a lot of people say, oh, I couldn't do that because it would bother my stomach. It's too much, you know, veggies at once, or I have maybe a sensitive digestive system. What would you say to that?
Well, again, they are blended up in the food processor, so it's basically like a thick dressing,
Like
the batter.
Breaking them down almost.
You're breaking down those bonds.
It's like a smoothie.
Yeah, it is basically like making a smoothie without fruit and then dehydrating it with good fats. So,
in a way, it's almost better for your body because you're breaking it down before, instead of having to like chew all of that. And
who chews 30 times per bite?
Right.
I don't even. We're all on the go. We're rushed, especially the busy moms out there. So yeah, it's just blended up. Like I tend to get bloated after eating a big salad too.
Right.
So yeah, it's basically like having a salad on a dehydrator tray, which look like this. I had this all prepped because I'm going to demo a quick one.
Perfect.
But basically just kind of pour it on something like this and stick it in the dehydrator, and it's ready in 8 hours. And yeah, it's pretty awesome. So if there was any questions about the bread cracking, so to get over that hump, you want to either dehydrate less or add more oil or add more nuts and seeds. Okay, that's kind of like the general rule of thumb.
Right.
And real quick regarding the batter, for those who have bought the course, the thicker the batter is, the better it'll be for patties. Okay, so if you can actually scoop it on, like I say, the rule of thumb is if you want patties, you're going to scoop the batter onto the tray.
Okay.
And if you can actually form different shapes, it's going to work.
Perfect.
It's just going to work.
Yeah.
If you're pouring the batter on and not scooping and it's kind of watery, like you see the water on the edges, it's not going to work. It's going to be cracky, and it's going to be a very thin bread, and it probably won't taste that good either. And the best part of this, I've had a lot of people say, well, you know, I don't want to buy the course because I'm afraid that like I'm going to try these recipes out and I'm going to waste all these amazing vegetables, which are expensive, because I don't know how it's going to taste or if my family's going to like it. What I do is I make the batter. I'll take a spoon and I'll have everyone in the family try a bite, because that's exactly how it's going to taste dehydrated.
I totally agree with that. That's what you kind of told me in the beginning, and that's helped so much, because then I know if it's, if it tastes too green for me, or if it needs a little bit more seasoning or spice or whatever. Exactly.
And then also if you make the batter and you have leftovers for whatever reason, maybe you don't have enough room in your dehydrator, depending on the dehydrator that you have, you can take this and make a pesto out of it. So I have that in the course as well. Some bonus recipes of what you can do with additional batter to make like a good pesto or a salad dressing.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so here are some of the ingredients, you guys, that I use in the bread. So of course, apple cider vinegar, which is great for the gut. And I've pulled out some sun-dried tomatoes, which, you know, I forgot to mention too, is this is like the best thing to do if you have vegetables in your fridge that need to be eaten, okay? Before heading to the compost, because even if they're a little bit off, they'll still taste pretty good in the bread, okay?
I agree, yeah.
And so again, dehydration is a form of preservation. So it is fine on countertop. If you do leave it in the dehydrator and it's a little moist when it comes out, which I sometimes prefer, then I put it in the fridge just because it lasts a little bit longer, but in our family, it'll be gone over a night. And it's worth it, you guys. Like when you get good at this, it takes seriously 5 minutes to make a quick bread because you just know what to do. At first, it's a little intimidating, so it takes a little longer and it may be exhausting, and shoot, my husband just ate the whole thing in 5 minutes and it took me like a million years to make it, but it gets so much easier. And knowing that your family is eating so well, it's amazing. Like you're just like, I am so blessed to know how to do this. So,
hi guys, everyone's saying hi.
You guys can ask questions and throw it at me, and while we're doing that, I'm gonna just quickly demo a bread and show you how easy it is just to kind of create and make your own here.
Perfect. So, one thing I was going to mention too, kind of piggyback on Deanna, is that I completely agree as far as it goes with having the breads be, I guess, the more you do it, the better you get. So in the beginning, I would follow a recipe and it didn't quite turn out, but over time, I just do it more and more and they just turn out. Because you get to know it and you get to, it's like anything, the more you do it, the better you get, right? Better practice. You just need to do that practice. So don't be intimidated or think, oh, if it doesn't turn out the first couple of times, you just need to keep doing it. So it's with anything.
And it, you know, we're at sea level here, so if you're making these in Denver, you're going to notice that my times to dehydrate are going to be a lot longer than your times to dehydrate. So again, depends on your location, how hot it is, how humid it is, all those things, what kind of dehydrator you have. Many people have asked me, do I need to buy the Excalibur? It's really expensive. Well, no, you don't. I just find it's the best because you can make a ton of it when you get really good.
Right.
And a food processor. Go ahead, Suzi.
What I was going to say, I had a brown one before and it was a lot harder.
Yeah.
And this one has like literally changed. I make it all the time now because it's so much easier, you know? So those tools really do help, I think.
They really do, and you will use them.
Yeah.
That food processor, again, I've been through like 7, because, and it's a good food processor. It's not a piece of crapola. Yeah. It's a good one. So
maybe talk about yours real quick.
Sure.
That a lot.
Yeah. So I'm kind of ready to just get a commercial grade, honestly, because I'm going to go through yet another one, and I'm going to show you actually this one is going downhill because the top is broken, but it's still usable. I can use it, and then I'll have duct tape on it, you know, and then it'll just die on me. So this is the Cuisinart 14 cup. Okay, and I love the large ones because you can make a ton of batter, and you know, first of all, it's not going to be messy. Second of all, you can just kind of throw all of this in your dehydrator at once and make like 7 or 8 batches, which is great. That's awesome. Which we love to do. So this is our Cuisinart. It's dirty because I was making some this morning. I'm not kidding you, I use it all the time. You can also use these to make some really good desserts, okay? So it's not just good for raw bread, so which are in our course as well. We have some really good no sugar added desserts as well. So
I'm gonna ask you a question real quick.
Yeah.
There's a couple. Is there anything that you have used that went terribly bad and that you should avoid to maybe everyone? Or what kind of paper are you using?
Oh, so you mean for the dehydrator trays?
Yes.
So I use, I don't use the, I don't use the liners that come with the Excalibur trays because I just find they don't work and they get messy, and I'm really all about like quickly cleaning. Yes. Like most of us are with kids.
Me as well. This is exactly what I do.
So I use these ones, okay, because they're non-toxic. I get these at PCC Market. You can get them online, and you can reuse them. Okay, so you can reuse this a couple times on one side, and then you can actually flip it over and use it again.
And I reuse mine all the time.
Yeah.
And this is the brand, If You Care, is the brand. So
yeah, it's great. So that's what I use. And then when I store them too, I'll just take the piece of paper that I've used and then like put them in between the breads so that they don't stick together if I'm making a moist bread. So before I start with the demo, I want to show you guys another bread that I've made that is completely different. And this is made with carrots, turmeric, ginger, I think rosemary was in this one too. And I mean, you can stuff so many goodies in this. You just have no idea. It just blends. You don't have to mince it. Your food processor, if it's good, will blend everything. Fresh garlic. I can smell it. It smells so good. I'm like drooling.
Look at that, you guys.
I never get sick of this. Like when we smell this the next morning. This is yours, Suzi. Before, unless I eat it. So the best part of making this bread, I find, is that the next morning when I come into the kitchen after sleeping, I can smell it.
Yes.
It smells like, I don't even know, onion soup or something. It's delicious.
Especially if you use leeks. I've used like leeks a lot, and it's like, you can smell it.
So amazing. So again, unlimited things you can do. Fresh ginger. So
That's a good question though. Has anything gone terribly wrong?
Like with making the breads? No. I mean, what could go wrong with these?
Combos maybe that you would say, don't do that.
Sure.
Sure.
Yeah. So there's certain vegetables that are, what is it? How do you say that? Goitrogens that I wouldn't recommend. I have put beets. Actually, there's yellow beets in that one. But like things like Brussels sprouts, I'm not a fan of broccoli in them. Like they just don't taste good.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So you can do, like, I think the best things are like for green breads, dark leafy greens. I'm a big fan of onions. I use sweet onions in a lot of my recipes because it adds a really great rich flavor.
That's a good idea. Yeah.
Rather than, if you can't do onions for whatever reason, you can just add water. You can add kimchi or kraut, because when you dehydrate, it's not going to kill the good bacteria in these. So you can actually use either the juice or just throw the whole thing in. Nice. Again, you can, I'm going to put radish, watermelon radish in this one today.
Oh, I've never had that.
Yeah, you can throw anything in here. Yeah. It's amazing. And then Radicchio, I've got some Radicchio all ready to go. I'll teach you how, like, the proportions of what to use regarding like vinegars. What can you use instead of like apple cider vinegar? Can you use coconut vinegar, excuse me? Can you use like lemon? Can you use lime? Why do I put those in there? So that's all the stuff I talk about. And then different garnishings and different binders and different herbs. So really just so much is packed into this course that, you know, really, you're not going to go wrong by getting it. You're just not. So
another question too is kind of as far as storage, does it need to be refrigerated? Can you freeze it? People wanted to know like what you do.
So when I make breads that are really dry, well, for example, I'll give you an example here. So these are sandwich patties or burger patties, you guys, and
isn't that so awesome, you guys? These are for, I love it.
My hands are clean, I promise. These are yours.
Oh yeah.
So really, this is, I'm gonna make a sandwich with this, okay? So it's a little bendy, but it's dry enough if you feel it where the moisture is pretty much gone. So I just know that the moisture in here is from the oil or a little bit of the seeds. So this would be safe on countertop for probably a week or two, or if you take it camping, it's fine for a couple weeks. The more moisture that's in the bread though, I find it just tastes better in the fridge, even though it's probably safe on the countertop. Just think like moisture mold, okay? So use your best judgment. The drier something is, whether you dry out fruit or anything, if there's a little bit of water, it's gonna go moldy over time, right? So the best thing to do to avoid all of that is just to stick it in the fridge. And quite honestly, they taste so good right out of the fridge. And then in the freezer, have you tried that, Suzi, yet? Putting them in the freezer?
I just do the refrigerator.
Oh my gosh.
Is it so good?
Okay, so put them in the freezer, not because you don't want to eat it for like 3 weeks, but because you want to check out the different taste. Okay, I'll leave it there.
Yeah.
I always put a little stash in there, because sometimes I have to hide a bunch because I'll make it, I go to work, I come back, it's all gone. My family eats it, I'm like, I just want a couple pieces. So I'll stick it in the freezer, and when you take it out, especially with the breads that have a little bit of coconut oil and so forth in them, they taste like a chip. And it's like a moist chip, and it's super, it changes the taste. It's like the most decadent thing right out of the freezer, not even a thought you've ever had. It's so good. So yes.
Yeah. So love a chip so bad.
Seriously, they're so good. So yes, to answer your question, countertop, yes. Fridge, typically I always put them in the fridge, and then freezer sometimes, but only because I like the taste of it right out of the freezer, which is so bizarre. But
Someone else asked, could a Vitamix work as far as blending?
Okay, so unless you have a commercial grade Vitamix, but even those probably wouldn't be as good, because it's all comes down to this large dirty blade here, okay? So this is what blends the vegetables, including like the turmeric and the ginger, to the point where you don't have to mince it for it to work. So if you look in the Vitamix, the blades are tiny. So you're gonna have one heck of a time trying to blend everything. Even though they're tall and they may be big, they're just better for like quick smoothies, like a couple ingredients. But in some of these recipes, I'll have like 10 different ingredients. So, and then some of them, like the carrots, for example, like They just blend a little bit easier. Again, you can try it. If you want to go ahead and try it, go for it. You may have some really good luck, but I guarantee some of the recipes that I use, there is one onion recipe that requires them to be sliced. It's a lot easier with the different attachments with the food processor. And so yeah, I'd highly recommend just using the food processor, but go ahead and try it. You won't know unless you try, right?
Yeah, and I was gonna say, I don't have a food processor, and I use a Blendtec.
Nice!
But the Blendtec
That's great.
it doesn't have the 4-prong, it has 1 blade.
Okay.
And I don't know if that helps having 1 blade. It's worked for me so far, and I do have a smaller jar that really works great for like nuts and everything. It makes nut butters in like a minute.
Okay.
But people have asked me about Vitamix, and I've never tried it, but just try it. I mean, it's worth a try. If it works, it works. If not,
right. I
think ideally, like she said, it would be nice if you had a food processor, but so far for me, like it's worked with Blendtec.
Blendtec's great.
So
I'm thinking about the Vitamix with the tiny little,
yeah, and
I'm thinking no. So yeah, are there any other questions, or I could start making this while the questions are coming?
Okay, and then someone else said, can it be dehydrated in the oven, which is one I get all the time.
All the time. So no, unless you have the new ovens that are out there that have the dehydrator setting on it, the convection ovens, probably not going to work, because the whole point of this, you guys, is to invest in kitchen equipment that is going to keep food enzymes preserved, okay? Which happens at 115 degrees generally, Fahrenheit or less. So with these recipes though, you can have it for an hour at 145 degrees Fahrenheit and then immediately turn it down to 115 if you have time, which will technically keep them, the food enzymes preserved. Meaning if you were to add water, it would sprout, right? So the problem with doing that though is I always forget to turn it down, and then I fried my food. So, you know, you can make these recipes and put them in your oven. They're gonna be a different type of product though, okay? They'll still be healthy, they just won't be raw. You just can't call it raw bread.
Right.
Yep,
right.
That's pretty much it.
And I think though too, I mean, my Excalibur was, which is the dehydrator that I used, it was like 160. I think you can get them for a little bit more if you get like the newest version, or maybe something.
Right. And there's tiny ones too.
Yeah.
I had one that was 4 tray for 5 years. It was fine when I was single and I was the only one eating it, right?
Yeah.
But you know, when everyone else was demanding it and I got married and had kids, it was the large one.
Yeah.
In fact, I have 2.
So this is the Excalibur.
Yeah.
The dehydrator.
Yep, that is it. And it's kind of dirty, you guys, because I just took this bread out. But I have some bread still in here that I haven't taken out. And so yeah, this is just
the
made.
Trays. Yeah, you can see. These are the trays. But this is the one I have too. Like I said, I think it's worth the investment. You're gonna use it for years to come. I literally use mine like all the time. Yeah. Whether I'm making kale chips or raw veggie bread,
or desserts or cheeses or yogurts. You can use it for so many different things. Or you can even, if you guys buy the raw coconut butter, you can just like put it in there and it'll melt it, so which makes it easy. Or if you're making chocolate treats, which I'll grab here.
Nut milk too.
Are they gone?
I'll get the chocolate treats first.
Don't look in there right now. We have lamb hearts sticking out. So I make chocolate. Those cookies are for you too, don't forget. So
these are really good. You got
yeah, so if, you know, chocolate's super messy to make yourself, right? If you're melting it in a pot and stuff. So you can use a dehydrator to melt them safely in silicone trays, and literally just make them right in the silicone tray. Yeah, so it has coconut in it. It's got maca powder. It's got coconut, obviously you can see in there. And I put a little Lakanto sweetener, so it's super dark. It's like the chocolate you just bought on Instagram. What was that stuff? The, you know what I'm talking about?
Yes, the...
What is that?
From New York?
Ah, Pasha.
Yeah.
So I used the 100%, and then I added some Lakanto to it. Okay. So they're like 0 sugar in these.
That's amazing, yeah.
That's them. So
that's so, yeah.
Suzi's like grabbing. I'll give you some of those for the road too, Suzi. And so yeah, I use my dehydrator all the time. It's running. It's not loud. I find it's kind of actually relaxing. Right here. I find it kind of soothing. In fact, you know, I'd probably get another dehydrator. Just, you want to have the counter space for it. I always leave mine on the counter. I never take it off the counter because I always use it. And then of course for sprouting, if you eat nuts, you might as well sprout them, like soak and sprout them, because they're not going to digest without doing so anyway. So you might as well have a dehydrator on hand because you want to do it in bulk.
Yeah, that's one thing I've done a lot too. I agree. Is I didn't really sprout my nuts until I had dehydrator. It's awesome.
Yeah. Yeah, you can make bulk.
Someone asked, can you rehydrate and process again with oil if something else to help hold it together better if it like didn't turn out?
Well, you know, I wouldn't recommend doing that. It'd probably be kind of messy after dehydrating it. You probably could, yeah, just by adding water, sure. Have I done it? No. But what I do instead is I just dehydrate it longer, and then it's still delicious. It's just a cracker.
And I've done that with even dipping them in soups.
Yeah.
So many different
Croutons.
things. Yeah.
Salad.
So yeah, trust me, I've had a million not turn out.
It never goes to waste.
It never goes to waste.
Yeah.
Use it for something, and again, you're going to mess it up a couple times. Again, the course is going to stop you from doing a lot of that because I did that,
right?
And so I try to save you from having to do that.
Because in the course there's like 103 recipes, or
there's about over 100 recipes in there, but some of them are bonus recipes using the batter or some sugar-free. Do a lot of sugar-free in this family, desserts and puddings and so forth, and yeah, so.
I mean, if you want to look like Deanna, then...
Oh, you're so sweet. Thanks, Suzi.
No, seriously,
so sweet.
Though, I think it's just, you've done the work, so then people don't have to. Like, that's the whole point, right? So then you don't have to make mistakes and...
But you want to,
produce or whatever. So.
But you're gonna become your own master. Trust me.
Exactly.
You will. I get the messages all the time, like, Deanna, I use tiger nuts. I use this and that. I'm like, yay, right on. This is so awesome. That's my whole point. Is I want you to just have the tools to make your own, because you will. Because what I like, you may not like.
Totally.
Yeah. So again, a great time to not only add a variety for your gut microbiome of dark leafy greens, but also getting your bitter greens in here. And the recipes in the course are good because they basically, like this on its own, if you're not used to it, is kind of, bitter. So we use mustard greens, arugula, pretty much every kind of veggie you could imagine is in some of the recipes. And the binders I use in there really make them taste good so that everyone can enjoy them in your family, even if they're not used to eating bitter greens.
Yeah. Okay, another question is, can you use the pre-washed and cut kale in the bags from Trader Joe's, or is there a specific type of kale you should use for the kale chips?
Well, what were you going to say?
Well, I was going to say, I never get the pre-cut.
No.
Because it doesn't taste the same. And usually it's more the stems. You want to cut the stem off.
Right.
Right?
Right, and actually Mike knows a lot about cutting vegetables. You don't want to cut them because what happens, Mike?
Well, they can release anti-nutrients, so it's better to just...
The science, here we go, Mike.
Sorry.
No, it is going to be a little bit better to just like take it fresh from the grocery store, farmer's market, someplace like 21 Acres, Suzi, you know about, or your garden, and then just make it right away. So the pre-cut, pre-roast, all that, yeah, it's better than like eating bread, but it's not like the most health-promoting way that you can ingest vegetables. So that's kind of the thing is, you know, with this, these are just little microgreens normally, or from our garden. But of course, not everyone has a garden, which I totally understand. But the type of kale, you want the curly type of kale, not the red Russian type kale.
Right.
That's it. You want that.
The good stuff.
Yeah, the good stuff. And then I'll take the stems and I'll make soups with them, so nothing goes to waste.
Yeah.
Or the chickens get them. So yeah.
And honestly, it doesn't take long at all to just cut the stems off. I mean, I have it down where I'm just like, okay, wash them, cut them, like dry them, and then yeah. Even Finley knows the routine, so it's.
And then you're massaging the kale so that they're easy to. You're breaking down those bonds by massaging the kale for the kale chips, which is a big important step. And for those who have a hard time eating kale because it hurts the tummy or makes you look pregnant, massaging the kale makes all that so much easier to digest.
Yeah.
And the kids love it.
I mean, you guys, I'm not joking when I say people will try the kale chips and they'll say these are the best kale chips I've ever had.
Yeah.
I mean, it happens all the time.
Where you buy the store-bought and you're like, what? You open the bag and it's like, there's like all air and then 2 kale chips are broken down. And you're like,
spent like $8.
Well, there's sugar in them now.
Yeah.
That's the thing. You can't find kale chips without sugar. It is so frustrating.
Like agave, I'm like, why did you put agave in there?
No, it's just cane syrup.
Yeah, I know, it's so sad. So we don't even buy them anymore, we just make them. So yeah, you're gonna get a lot more diversity when you make your own. Even if I were to come out, I've had people, Deanna, make these, sell them, fine, I'll do it. But it's gonna be one recipe because it's really hard to scale stuff. So I can add, by making your own, you can add whatever you want and make it super diverse.
Right.
And keep things different, which is really, really important for your gut, okay? And they're all considered low carb and high fiber, for those who are wondering about that.
People are asking about course info. So you can find it, I know, on your Instagram profile page, right? The link?
Yeah, the current link is on my Instagram profile. And I believe it's on High Intensity Health as well.
Yeah, just keep it on your profile, on Deanna's
Yeah,
profile.
so I just find it on my profile, and it'll be there for a while. It's not going away anytime soon, because we're proud of it and we want y'all to have it if you want it.
Yeah.
And then if you have any questions too, just feel free. You're not bothering me to just send me a private message and ask me, you know, any questions you'd like, and I'll get back to you.
Yeah.
Within
One person
24 hours.
said that on the webpage it says the time expired to buy the course, but it's
Oh.
not expired.
It's
No.
not expired.
That was just like a winter bundle, right?
Yeah, I
You
think
know?
Yeah,
so.
yeah. So if they refresh, it should be good.
Yeah,
Okay, cool.
yeah, it should be fine. So, did you want to see me do a quick, like
Yeah.
how easy this is, you guys?
I would love to. I think you guys would too.
And
So-
Deanna, you haven't really talked about why you're doing. Maybe talk about the importance of the healthy fats
Sure.
too. What
Sure.
for keto people?
So for the keto people, yeah,
Can you explain keto really quick for those who might not know what that means?
that might be a Mike question, because yeah, it's Mike. What's
I
your
think
definition
So
of
in the
keto?
essence, you know, we get into ketosis when we're either fasting, when we exercise, or we have a low carb and therefore low insulin diet. And so what's nice about this bread, a lot of people are eating keto breads, which is like rice flour or sorghum flour. This is all veggie based, but you're getting the healthy fats from coconut, from the nut seeds, from olive oil.
Macadamia
So it's
nut
really
oil.
congruent with two things I think are the most important health trends in the last 20 years are a ketogenic diet and the microbiome, you know, boosting food groups and microbiome health. And this really marries the best of both worlds when it comes to that. So that's why we like it. So it's low carb, low insulin. It'll help you better burn fat for fuel. It's good for your brain. It's good for weight loss. But it's also very supportive of good gut health, which is great for long-term health strategy.
And kid friendly.
And a lot of, haven't studies shown kind of that being on a high-fat diet actually promotes a lot more than, I think a lot of diets out there are things that people have gone on board with or whatever.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm,
yeah. There's so many more benefits. You know, you're talking like the carryover benefits of ketosis.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, from a lot of people have food sensitivities, autoimmunity, hypothyroidism, and all that. Like
Right.
being in ketosis really puts the kind of dimmer switches on your inflammation, your chronic inflammatory pathways. That's why it's so exciting for anyone with autoimmunity, food sensitivities. Even having a little bit of extra fat is really inflammatory. So this will help you to burn fat better. But you know, again, most people when they think of keto, they think bacon, butter, lard, pork. And while that may be low carb, that's not congruent with gut health. And that's like the biggest health trend of the 21st century. And we're learning so much about the microbiome. So that's why we love these breads, because it gets us a lot of the healthy fats, particularly when, like you mentioned, when you're traveling or you're short on time, you go to healthy things like kale chips or coconut chips or whatever, but they have added sugar and all this. So this
Right.
is a nice way to get low carb, high fat foods that are also microbiome friendly really quickly and easily. And you can
Right.
make them. And it doesn't take a lot of time. Deanna's going to demonstrate. It's like maybe 5 to 10 minutes of prep, and then you put them in the dehydrator and your work is done. You just
Right.
take them out. So it's really beautiful.
And then they're gone within 5 minutes.
Yeah, that's a downside.
So no, I actually love it. I love it because it, you know, makes me feel good that you guys love them and that you're healthy.
Yeah.
So also one question, the potatoes. I don't put potatoes in these. We love sweet potatoes. We just don't put them in the breads because we rather
they're
cook
fine
them.
on their own.
They're
You
fine
don't-
on their
you don't
own.
need to try.
We like to cook them because they're ones, I don't think it's good to eat raw potatoes. I could be
Right.
wrong there. I am experimenting currently with medicinal mushrooms, but again, they're better cooked too, so I haven't put them in here either. So again, there's just certain foods you don't want to put in here. It's all in the course. All the veggies that have worked for me and ones that have not, I go through troubleshooting and all of that in there as well. And also go through, what happens if my batter's too thick? What happens if it's turning into crackers all the time? And blah, blah, blah. So we go through a ton of troubleshooting, you guys. And then you can always join our not live, but our Facebook page and ask more questions too, and then get into the community for the raw bread community that way as well.
Facebook group.
Yeah, and so that's been a lot of fun. So
I
yeah,
just wanted to mention again, the course is not expired. So it says it on there, but it's not expired. So you can
No.
definitely get it now.
we're not rushing this, you guys. Think about it. Invest in the equipment.
Yeah.
I guarantee if you buy it, if you don't want it, which you will want it, someone will purchase it from you. Okay,
Yeah.
I mean, it's just you're gonna love your dehydrator.
You mean if people are worried.
Not the course, I meant the tools.
The dehydrator.
Yeah.
You can sell it on OfferUp or eBay or whatever.
Yeah.
For the same price. Yeah.
Heck, I'll buy it.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't want to buy 10 more, but geez, I mean, yeah, I love it so much that.
Someone's asking, is there a keto shake recipe in the course by chance? The one you always post looks so good.
Keto shake?
There's keto dessert recipes. Many.
Yeah, I have many keto dessert recipes which could be made into a keto shake, if that makes any sense. So yes, to answer the question, there should be a keto shake in that book.
Awesome.
Yeah, if not, private message me and I can give you one.
Cool, and there's kale chip recipes in there too. In the course, you guys, which are so good.
And the crackers too.
Yeah.
So again, super easy. I've made this look really scary here today because I just wanted to show you different variations of what you can do. But this is just like what my life is here. Like I don't look at my recipes because I've gotten to a point where I kind of know, like again, you become your own master. You kind of know what works, what tastes good, what doesn't. But I also am not afraid to experiment with new things because that's how you're going to find out if you like it or not. Okay. Like this particular one was a complete experimentation. I wasn't sure if it was going to work and it did, and it's one of my favorites. So yeah, you just got to try it out. And you'll get to a point where you go to the grocery store and you're looking at different vegetables like horseradish and stuff like that, and you're like, I wonder if I could put that in there. Yes, you can. You can put anything you want in them. That's the beauty of it, is that you can
chicken manure,
chicken manure. Yeah, you know, so you get to a point where you kind of know the ratios after doing so many of the recipes in the course, where you just kind of know what will work and what won't. Trust me, you will get there. I did. So if I can, anyone can. Okay.
So good.
Yeah.
Deanna, why don't you get into the...
Yeah, so I'm gonna go ahead and just start and throw things in like a witch's brew here. And so the first thing I start out with, again, I'm making this bread here. It's gonna be not exactly the same. None of the breads are ever the same unless I'm following a recipe, which I don't, so it won't be the same. But I wanna start out with, if I'm using nuts or seeds, I put them in first because you wanna blend them up first, okay? So today I'm gonna use pumpkin seeds. For the sake of time here, you guys, I did not sprout these, but I do recommend soaking and sprouting your seeds, okay? But they'll still be fine. So I'll put in like half a cup here. That's a cup here. And then anything else that needs to be blended pretty quickly, I'm gonna go ahead and just throw in now. So again, you kind of get to know there's certain things that do take a little bit more time to blend. So I have rosemary here.
Love fresh rosemary.
Yeah, and so I'm just gonna use this whole sprig because I love my herbs. And herbs have a lot of medicinal benefits as well. So I'm actually studying herbs right now, and my gosh, you guys, there are so many goodies in herbs. I can smell the rosemary right now. It smells so good. Okay, so I've added the rosemary, and then I'm gonna go ahead and add maybe some sesame seeds, okay? Just because I feel like it, and why not?
Someone asked, is there like a low budget and a high budget dehydrator option you would recommend? Obviously high budget is probably Excalibur. Which is
and then the low budget would be maybe like 4-tray Excalibur. And then there is another one, which I don't know the brand. I'm sure if you look on Pinterest or something like that, you'd find out.
Look at eBay and then Amazon, and I would look at OfferUp and Craigslist too.
Yeah, I was going to say the same thing. They always have them for a little bit cheaper. Maybe they're slightly used, but hardly any. And you can even buy some used from Amazon that aren't even really used.
Right, exactly. So do you guys see how I'm not measuring anything? Okay, you do. Okay, you get to know how much of what to add in there. So what you have to realize is that the more seeds and nuts, etc., that you put in, the thicker your batter is going to be, and it's probably going to be more better for a pizza crust or a hamburger crust or hamburger bun, sorry. Just, it's going to be a thicker, denser type of bread. So when I'm making crackers, I don't add a lot of oil because you want it to be dry and thick. So that's one of the things I go through in troubleshooting in the course. And because you want a cracker to be crisp, right? Which are definitely great on the countertop. But today I am making a bread, so I'm going to add oil. So if you want to look in here, Suzi, at just what I put in, I've just added, you know, again, the stuff that needs to be blended pretty well. Okay.
So this is nuts, seeds, some herbs.
Yep. And then I'm going to walk around you here, and I have pre-cut here some fresh ginger and garlic and fresh turmeric. Okay, so I'm all about fresh herbs when I can use them.
Can you weigh that over here too?
And someone did ask, where can they find fresh turmeric? And I always get mine from Whole Foods. They have it there.
Yeah.
But I'm sure most health food stores or, you know.
Yeah, most
it's
health food
seasonal
stores.
though. Sometimes in the summer it's not available, I found.
Oh really? Yeah, the turmeric I haven't seen too, but generally ginger is, and we would love to be able to grow it, trust me. But yeah, so I'm gonna throw it in there, and you notice I didn't even have to mince it. That's the best thing because I get lazy myself and I don't want to mince stuff. Okay, I'm not a chef, so I'm back from a long day of work and I just want to make a quick bread. So I'm gonna add the carrots as well because carrots are tough to grind, okay?
Great.
So I'm gonna just go ahead and add like a cup.
And we will repost this later, so you guys have asked. So this will be live for 24 hours, and then I'm gonna save it, so then hopefully you can post it to my Instagram highlights.
Beautiful. I missed some garlic. Okay.
So she has some ginger. A lot of you guys asked what's in here. So carrot, ginger, sesame seed, sunflower seed, turmeric.
Yep, turmeric, garlic, ginger. And then,
rosemary.
yeah, and then I did say I was going to use some radish, so I'm going to go ahead and just throw a little bit in there. Just to save some time. Look how beautiful.
So
hello, how can this not be good for your gut? And your kids are eating this? Are you kidding me? Seriously, you guys. So I'm going to go ahead and just, I don't even have to
So that's
cut it
called
small.
watermelon radish.
Watermelon radish. Okay, it's going in. All right. Looks healthy.
Like the
I'm
rainbow.
throwing it in because I want you to see how, like, I'm not measuring or being all, you know, it's got to be a cup. It's got to be a quarter cup.
And just so you guys know, in her course, all the recipes have, you know, measurements. So
They do.
if you're freaking out, like, I can't do this, don't worry for
Yes.
type A people. Like, there's measurements. So she's just saying the more you do it, the better you'll get.
Right.
And the more you'll just know what you like.
Right. So this is 1 full sweet onion. And I love sweet onions because they add some liquid and texture to the breads. So you'll find I use them a lot. Yes, you can omit them in the recipes though, okay? So, and then I'll add a little bit of zucchini just because this was the stuff in my fridge that needed to be used up, okay? So I'm gonna throw that in here. I'm gonna give it a good blend and probably just start by pulsing. Hopefully this is not the day that my food processor dies on me. It's through hell, it's really loud.
How easy that
So easy. Okay, so here's a spoon. So I'm just gonna kind of like do this. Okay, so it's got a little crumbly texture here. So this is when I can have some fun with the oils and liquids and good stuff. Okay, so I have an option to add some lemon or some coconut vinegar or some apple cider vinegar, which I'm going to use good old apple cider vinegar. And typically it's like 1 or 2 tablespoons. Okay, so I'm not even going to measure here. It's just a little bit, and it takes away the bitterness of the bitter greens. Okay, that's why I use it, and also preserves the vegetables after dehydration for a longer period of time. They taste fresh. The same I guess would it be philosophy is used when making soups. If something doesn't taste as good, you add a little bit of splash of citrus or vinegar and it livens up the ingredients. So yeah, just imagine when it's raw. Okay, so then I've added that, and then I get to choose an oil because I want this to be kind of like a wrappy bread. So I'm going to go ahead and add some macadamia nut oil because I love it. This stuff's a little bit pricey though, so it's kind of a treat. I know, it's kind of a treat. I'm like, oh, okay, let's just keep it there to a tablespoon. But you know what? You can combine your oils, have a little fun, be a little crazy. Combine your oils. You can add that and maybe a little touch of olive oil, which is cheaper. Yeah. There you go. I just saved you $10 a bottle. So just a little bit more here. So this is about like anywhere from 2 tablespoons to 1/3 of a cup in the recipes that I use. Okay. If your bread turns out oily after you dehydrate it, and it's like really slimy, put it in the freezer. It's going to be amazing in the freezer. It's generally not the type of bread I want to leave on the countertop because it is kind of greasy, but don't throw it away, you guys. Just put it in the freezer and it'll be like this amazing decadent treat. Trust me, it's going to be so amazing. Okay, so I've got that in here. I did pull out my sun-dried tomatoes that are in oil. So knowing that they're in oil and I've already added oil, I have to be careful adding these because I don't want it to be too greasy. Okay, again, I talk about all of this in the course of, you know, when you have to be careful of adding certain oils when adding other ingredients because they already contain oil. Okay, so, and one of them is actually the tiger nut recipe that I have for those who are sensitive to nuts and seeds. So, you know what, I'm gonna use a spoon for this one because they're kind of stuck in there.
What was that again? What is that?
The whole line? Oh, this thing?
Yeah.
I think you meant what I just said. This is sun-dried tomatoes, so they're in oil. Yeah, and you can use just regular sun-dried tomatoes and soak them, but I just happen to have this on hand because I make a lot of dressings with it. And so knowing that it's in olive oil, and I just added olive oil, I'll go ahead and just add maybe like, I don't know, maybe that much. That looks good. yeah, it might be really decadent, but I never know unless I try, right?
So someone asked again about the food processor versus the Vitamix. So
yeah,
she kind of had touched on that earlier. Just saying that she found the smaller 4 prongs that the Vitamix has makes it hard to blend everything.
right.
But I found with my BlendTech it's fine, but it just has 1 blade, which maybe makes the difference since it's similar to a food processor, how it has kind of a longer 2 blades.
Exactly. Exactly. And you can see what I'm doing here, right? Like, I mean, imagine adding this, just think of it this way. Imagine adding this to your blender and only you will know if it will work, okay? Yeah. Because I know I've been in positions where I'm digging my hand in there trying to get stuff out of it because it got stuck, and that's the worst. Then you burn out the motor. Right. So you won't burn out the motor using this, right. But go ahead and try. So, all right, so I've added my vinegar, my oils, my vegetables. Heck, I could add a little bit of kraut. Why not? Why don't I add some brine just because I have it out and it's going to make it very gut friendly. And then I'm going to go ahead and blend again. Okay.
Someone asked, will cookie recipe from Instagram be available in the bundle?
Oh God, not the one that I sell in the stores. Sorry, but I'll come out with a good one. Okay, that I'll put in, I'll add as an add-on. We're coming out with a vegan cookie dough, you guys, by the way.
That sounds
vegan
amazing.
Cookie, edible cookie dough. Okay, so now I'm going to add my Radico because it does take a little bit of time to blend this stuff too.
So notice, like, she didn't just blend everything at once. She's kind of done a couple little...
Yeah, you want to kind of blend it all, like, in different sections so that you make sure it's all, you know, incorporating well. And if it gets to a point where you're doing this and you forget, oh shoot, like I didn't do that, then just add a little bit of water or liquid, okay? And it will blend itself up, but just do it in small amounts. There we go. Done. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to start adding my greens. Okay, so look how much I'm going to put in there. Can you believe that?
Crazy.
That's insane. So I'm going to go ahead and start adding in sections because it's going to get very full, which is why I like the 14-cup food processor. Okay, so I'm going to kind of shove it in there like that.
Someone asked, do you use the twister jar for the BlendTech? So I use the twister jar for nut butters, but I don't use it. I use the big jar for the rest for the raw bread, just because it's bigger.
Blending away. I just added mixed greens and I added a little bit of filtered water to help it blend up. Okay. The one beauty about having a food processor that's broken is that I can just add stuff to the top like that. And you'll see it'll start to blend very quickly.
Someone said, do you have a YouTube? I would subscribe.
Currently my YouTube is my husband's YouTube, Hi Disney Help, which I'm sometimes in the background waiting on that one. I'm all the fluff and he's all the science on those YouTubes. Okay, so as this is blending, to save time, I'm going to add a little bit of nutritional yeast, which adds a cheesy flavor, and it's totally optional. I just love it, so I just sort of throw it in there. Maybe like, I don't know, 1/3 cup. And it's also a good time to add a little bit of salt.
So someone asked, what else can you use as a binder other than flaxseed?
Well, you don't have to use flaxseed at all, actually. As long as you have nuts and seeds in there, that's the beauty of nuts and seeds for those who are okay with nuts and seeds, is that if you add enough, it's going to stick together, okay? The flax seeds are great if there aren't a lot of nuts and seeds in there. So in the course, we have recipes that have like no flax seeds, and then we have recipes that have like 1 cup of flax seeds in there, okay? The crackers or some of the more tough breads. And then I have patties in there that don't have flax seeds at all. So yeah, nuts and seeds are binders. And I've heard people use psyllium husk and stuff, but I've never, because I don't even like the taste of it and it hurts my stomach, so I didn't even go there. But Yeah, flax seeds they're great, and it doesn't take many to hold the bread together. So
Deanna's amazing, and her husband too, full of so much knowledge.
So sweet. Thank you so much. That makes us feel so loved.
And then as far as the nutritional yeast, I know that a lot of them have folic acid in them, but there's also brands you can get that don't. There's one, it's the one I get from Amazon, it's called...
It's right here, Suzi.
Yeah.
Don't look at my fridge for a second.
Oh no.
It's this brand here, I know, because I saw it on your Instagram.
Yeah, Sorry Foods.
These guys,
yes.
Sorry Foods. These guys are amazing. Yeah, and their spirulina is amazing too. It doesn't taste like you're eating a field of
whatever. That's good to know, yeah,
good to know. It's the only one I'll eat. Yeah, our fridge needs to be cleaned. So I've just added some more greens. Oops, please don't die.
And the course will be on, or I'll have this video on my highlight, my Instagram highlight. I'll do guys that, so you can go back and refer to it.
And it'll also be on apparently my Instagram too, and it'll be on High Intensity Health YouTube. Thanks to my husband over there who's filming us, so you can't miss it. We're all over social media. Okay, you guys, so blending away.
I wish you guys could smell this. It just smells so good when making it.
I'm just gonna start digging a spoon in there. I know it. Suzi's just about to dig in. So this is almost ready. And then while it's blending, I'm gonna go ahead and just, I'll use a clean spoon just because I want to, not gross you guys out, but I'm gonna add like a couple tablespoons of flaxseed in this. And I pre-ground this just for the sake of the, saving time, but I always grind my own to avoid oxidation, okay? So I buy whole flax seeds, I use a little coffee grinder. Sorry, there you go. And I grind my own flax seeds.
That's awesome.
Immediately before. And then if I have leftovers, I stick it in the fridge, typically in a container that is darker, so it doesn't oxidize from the light when you open the fridge. So there you have it. Okay, so this is pretty much done. And now's your chance to taste and to see if you like it. And just by looking at the batter here, again, this is like one of the big things I talk about in the course is like, okay, so based on this, like what's it going to end up looking like after dehydrating? Just knowing the ingredients that I use regarding like oil and nuts and seeds, I have plenty in there. But the texture isn't as smooth because I've used a little bit of carrot and zucchini and radicchio, which are bitter greens, and they're a little bit harder to create that smoothness. So this texture will be more like, where are you? Like these, okay? So it's gonna be more of a bread. It's not going to be a patty, so to speak, because it's just not thick enough. It's still kind of watery, but it's going to make a really darn good flatbread. So it's going to be kind of more like this, where it's not as smooth.
Which I love that.
Yeah, add some texture.
Yeah.
And then again, you guys, you can add garnishings to this. Imagine that. So you can like take some chopped up seeds and stuff and throw it on top. And then really quick, I'm going to show you how easy it is to spread this stuff on the prepared dehydrator tray.
So yeah, people keep asking about Excalibur. So it's the Excalibur dehydrator. That's the one that Deanna recommends. You can get like a 4 tray or a 9 tray, or do they even have more than 9 trays?
I don't think they do unless you buy the commercial grade, which is $20,000, but go for it. I mean, I've wanted to. There's nowhere to put it in the kitchen, and it's a big investment. I don't even know if I would use all those trays. Yeah. So I think the 9 tray, there might be a 14, but guys, I make this all the time, and 9 tray completely will suffice. Okay, so you don't need to get more than that.
Yeah.
But I do suggest doing the timer with it, because if you're gone all the time from home, you can set it, it'll turn off. Worst case scenario, you come back and it's a little bit moist and it needs to have more dehydration time, just turn it back on. It's not like you've ruined it, okay? Right. So I'd rather you like under dehydrate than over dehydrate. But if you over dehydrate, just make it into a cracker and live and learn. Eat it, and then just know next time to not leave it in as long in the dehydrator. So, okay, so the batter is ready. I'm gonna go ahead and spread. Sorry, it's a little dark here. And this will generally make about 2 or 3 trays, okay? If you're doing like the total flatbread, you guys hear our chicken in the background?
Love
They're laying
it.
eggs right now. Okay, so this could potentially make a patty. Okay, so it's thick enough where you can see it shaping, but I'm just gonna go ahead and make it like a flatbread. And you want it like a 1/4 inch thick. So you just want, like, I use a spoon, like a really large spoon. Like this is probably the best one that I had already sitting out here, but
I remember in the course you saying that you liked the back of a spoon.
yeah, it's just easier. And then for those who are having problems with sticky bread, even though if there's oil in it, it should not stick at all when you're flipping it over and peeling off the parchment when it's time to flip it over. One of my troubleshooting things is to actually just add a little spray of coconut
Smart.
spray. Yeah.
Yeah, can you show it over here just a quick?
Sure. So if you guys, what I mean by this, you guys, if you have a recipe where you're like, I'm going oilless, I don't want to add oil to my bread for whatever reason, which is cool, it's fine.
Yeah.
Just know that you're going to have to add some of this, which in some of my recipes when I'm making crackers, I'll spray parchment, I'll lay it on top, I'll roll it out, and then peel it off, and then shape it. I hope that made sense, like score it.
Totally.
So it just makes it easier to peel off the parchment, especially when it's not dehydrated yet. That's a lot, but I explain it all in the course. So hypothetically, like, since I brought it up, I don't want to cause any confusion. So, excuse me, if this were a cracker recipe, for those who bought the course, to make this easier to roll out on your dehydrator tray, you're going to spray it away from Suzi, and then you're going to place it here, okay, just like that. And then you can either use like a spoon. I like to use like a little dough roller or bread roller. Rolling pin is what I'm trying to spit out. And then you just kind of roll it out, and then watch this. Bam.
So beautiful.
And then you can score it, meaning you can cut it, which when in the cracker recipes, it's pretty dry, so it's really easy to like make fun shapes with cookie cutters or things that may impress your kids or your family. And
you can't see it.
Oh, sorry. Dun, dun, dun.
So what exactly did you use? Oh, you smash it down to make it more.
So I just placed some greased parchment paper over top.
To squish it.
And then you want to roll it out with a rolling pin.
Got it.
And this is one of the techniques I use in the course for the crackers.
But it's going to be thinner, so it'll be drier. A little bit or no?
Oh, it'll be a lot drier, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, the crackers will be, will either be like a really super thick kind of drier bread, or you can make it a cracker. Like, okay, so since we brought this up, in the recipe I'll say like, I'll call, like the titles are so hard for me because like I'll call one like flatbread, you know? But what you may notice is that you put it in the dehydrator and it's more of a cracker, so just disregard the title. When you're making over 60 recipes, you just kind of like, your creativity kind of goes down the tubes with titles. Yeah. And my editor's like, okay, come on, you know, let's call it gut bread. So just know that, you know, it may be more like a flatbread versus a cracker and vice versa when doing some of the recipes in the course, okay?
Okay, it's saying that I only have 1:30 left. I think.
Oh God.
I think you get capped off or whatever.
Yeah.
We can always hop back on too. But as far as, okay, so you would put all this on the parchment paper, and then we're gonna stick it in the dehydrator. And you typically dehydrate for
overnight. So I make the breads at night, and then like around like 8 o'clock, stick in the dehydrator, put the timer on for like 10 hours. The next morning, I'll flip it over, which I show you how to do in the course. Easy way to do it. I'm either using my hand or doing it like the professional way, and then flipping it over really quick. And then I peel off the parchment paper. Sometimes it doesn't need any more dehydration. Other times it'll need maybe 30 minutes. And so I'll just set the timer for while I'm getting dressed or showering or getting Inez ready for school. And then I cut it up, throw it in her lunchbox, bam, out the house, okay? So and I leave the breads in there. Like, you can leave them in there all day long, okay? Mike will probably eat them by the time I get home. Sometimes I have to leave a sign there, do not eat all the bread. But if I have a little extra time, I'll just chop it up, throw it in the, some in the freezer, some in the fridge, some on the countertop, so that my whole family can enjoy them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you can find the course in Deanna's Instagram profile. Just click that link. It'll take you right there. You'll find out all that you get with it. It's pretty amazing what you get with the course, all the info.
And bonus recipes too.
Yes.
Yeah. So and if you have any questions, please don't hesitate to ask me. Just send me a private message.
Cool.
Did it cut you off?
I don't think it would be wrong if we just started it up if you wanted to.
Yeah.
Because I want you to have enough time to kind of talk a little bit more about your course.
Sure.
I just wanted to make
Is
sure.
there anything else, Mike, we forgot?
Mike, do you remember on Instagram Live you just push save?
It's on the bottom.
I'll kind of start
Yeah,
with
there.
Right here, share? Or
Yeah. But maybe hit save first so you download it, and then...
I hope it's down. I hope it is.
Nancy,
I
you
think
can
it
come in,
does it,
honey.
and then
Okay.
just hit save, yeah.
Okay,
I can't believe she hasn't come in yet. She
Cool.
has the chicken.
Okay,
Yeah.
let me start it.
Sure.
Do you mind if you guys?
Oh, no, it's good.
No,
Okay.
Good, yeah.
We'll
No,
just
no,
do
no.
it so that way you can kind of finish.
Yeah.
Just about everyone's here.
While I'm spreading this on here.
Okay, guys, we got cut off because I think there's a time cap on Instagram Live, but you guys were showing up. I was so impressed with everyone who's there. You really want to know about this raw veggie bread. So we wanted just to hop back on to kind of finish this out and then to give you guys all the details on the course because I don't want you to miss this. Just all that you get with it and how this can make your life so much easier and healthier. Especially starting out, if we're in January, a new year, why not invest in yourself? I feel like a lot of times people will invest or try to save money when it comes to food, and I always think you should do the opposite. Like you should spend your money and invest in quality food because that's what sustains you and is going to give you vibrant health. And so really this is, I think, a perfect way to start the new year.
And Suzi, how has it changed your life being a busy mom of two? Like, tell me just some highlights of like, since you've started making the raw bread, like how it's...
Totally.
Yeah.
I think the biggest thing with me is just being able to have a quality food source on hand right away. I don't have to think about, okay, I need to make a salad or I have to go, cook up these veggies or do a stir fry. It's literally ready to go and I can grab it. I brought some with me today for lunch because I knew that, okay, I'm not going to find something really quick, so I just packed my lunch, made my little wrap, and I'm good to go. So it really has changed my life, and I love it. I love knowing that I'm getting nutrient-dense, quality food, but that it's not hard to do. If I can do this, you guys can, trust me. It's not rocket science. It's just knowing proportions, getting it down, and like she said, the more you do it, the better you'll get. So yeah, can't say enough good things about it. So.
Oh yeah. So I've just pretty much finished spreading this on the tray. And it doesn't have to be perfect. All right, so then I'm gonna do the little maneuver I teach in the course on how to flatten it out so that...
And you don't have to buy the 9-tray dehydrator, someone asked.
No.
The 4 trays, totally. It's just up to you what you can do or what you feel like is feasible right now for you. I think just starting is the best thing to do. So however you can get it started for you.
Yeah. Again, even if you buy the 4 tray, I still use my 4 tray when I'm doing sprouting nuts and seeds because I use a lot of the trays. Or if we're having guests over, I'll make a bunch of breads and then have like certain oils, which I also have in the course as well, just certain oils that are really good to dip certain breads into and totally impress your guests. Like we'll have them out on like a really pretty cutting board with
so
some
cool,
different
yeah.
oils and pestos and like seriously, I think it's pretty cool.
Yeah.
So bread is made there. Generally, I know it took us like an hour on Instagram Live to do it, but generally it takes about, I'm not kidding you, 5 to 7 minutes to make it.
It's so true.
So not even 5 minutes actually. It could take like even as low as 3 minutes. And then you have the option to use certain garnishings, which, I like to add just for a little extra boost of nutrient density, some sprouted, these are not sprouted, but I'll add some like sprouted sesame seeds or just some fine stuff to make it look super pretty. And sometimes I'll mix like some pumpkin seeds on there and that's it. And it's so easy, you guys.
So someone asked how much will what you just made make? So maybe 2 trays or 3 trays?
So this, when filled up, will make about, I would say 2.5 large Excalibur trays, okay? And So it would be about, let me see here. We ate some of this earlier, but I made some chipotle bread. Well, I might as well just take it to the dehydrator and show you really quick. But
it smells so good. I can't get over how.
So it made this batch as well as, and I had some because I couldn't help it, but it made 2 of these large ones as well, which I'm just gonna like cut up and, you know. So this one, that particular batch made about 3 trays. And again, it just depends on how much you're putting into the recipe.
And your onion bread is so good too. I wanted to say she has a recipe for like an onion bread that I love.
My favorite.
Yeah, I love the onion ones. They're just so good and
so flavorful.
And they just smell like onion soup. And you know, again, you can make these raw breads and cook stuff in them. Like, I'm not saying I'm raw vegan, by any means I'm not. But you know, sometimes I'll use a wrap and add like avocado and sprouts, and then I'll add some like wild-caught salmon or some grass-fed beef, you know. So you just have your raw salad, like instead of having like a salad for dinner, which we love to have greens for, you know, in most of our meals,
right,
we'll just wrap up some of whatever into a wrap, and there you have it.
So
You just had
nice.
probably more greens in your serving of raw bread than you would if you had a big salad, and it's easier to digest, which is the beauty of it, especially if you're eating a little bit later. Because I found that when I was eating salads after work, you know, it'd be like 7 o'clock at night, and then my sleep scores were awful, and it was because my body was still digesting my food. Even though it was clean food, it was probably throwing off my sleep, which took me way out of fat burning. So everything is very cyclical, okay?
Yeah.
So this is my go-to at night, especially late, because I'd much rather eat my food than drink a smoothie, especially, you know, at the end of the day. I just want to chew on something, and this is just very easily digested.
Yeah.
So I just make a wrap sandwich.
And I think that's such a good point, because a lot of times people will say, I'm gluten-free, but they're still buying the other, you know, say like a hamburger bun that it has no nutritional value. It might be gluten-free. And I think that's why this is so cool, is because you're getting so much nutrient still. But you're able to have a patty or whatever.
Such a good point for you guys who are going keto or low carb, okay? Is that really what it comes down to is your gut, okay? This is considered low carb, but high fiber, and there's a lot for gut diversity. And so if you have an unhealthy gut and you're eating like gluten-free blah blah blahs that are low carb and counting your macros, and you're putting on weight, it's probably because, like, even though on paper it looks really good, your gut isn't liking it. So it's going to throw hormones off and insulin off, and Mike knows more about that.
Well, it's not adding any diversity to your diet.
Right.
There's no dietary diversity.
We thrive on that, especially with, like, you know, nowadays with our soils. I mean, they're just not as good farm to table.
And most of the gluten-free bread is loaded with sugar.
Yeah.
Because it tastes so bland that they have to add sugar in for people to even enjoy it. So that's another thing.
Or oxidized flaxseed, you know. So you think you're eating healthy, but you're not, because everything is oxidized in that package.
Yeah.
So, yeah, trust me, like, it's just coming from someone who has a cookie company, like, trust me, I'm the first to admit, like, it's better to eat real food.
Yeah.
We like the convenience of processed food, but you want to make sure that what you're getting is, you know, good for you.
Yeah.
Legitimately good for you.
And if you're just joining, we talked a lot about the dehydrator in the previous Instagram Live. It's the Excalibur. So
Excalibur.
Just so you know.
Yeah, and then for other options, again, just like look on Pinterest or whatnot.
Yeah,
But
and then I'll just add, you know, there's just a few other things too with the nut butters and things, and then low carb, high fat dessert recipes, what's in Nezzy's lunches. So that's all in the bundle too. So the ebook, there's I think close to like 13 or 14 different videos. Private Facebook group, so it's not just only the breads and only the crackers. Like if people want to learn how to make nut milks and nut butters, and if you're sensitive to nuts or cashews or Brazil nuts or walnuts, Deanna has this amazing tiger nut recipe, which, by the way, she might start selling. So you're gonna get the recipe of, like.
By the way,
it's really not that we're promoting that. Like we
don't
like
mind
people
us. This stuff.
But anyway,
here's my first dehydrator, you guys.
Awesome.
It's just sitting on its side. But yeah, I used this one for 5 years, and their trays are smaller. So if you're making like a big batch of that, it would fill up like all the trays. But yeah, it was fine. It survived for like 5 years, and then again, I still pull it out when making a lot of different sprouted nuts and seeds. But so this is an option. I think this was maybe $70. I could be wrong there. Back in the day, it was probably like $25. It's just prices have probably gone up.
Yeah.
Like anything else, but look how it looks like brand new still. So they last a long time.
Yeah.
And there's only been like maybe one case of someone I know that has had one breakdown. I think the company's pretty good at replacing if anything ever happens with the fan. No rats don't get in there. Okay, bugs and stuff. It's always very clean. No, I never mold in my dehydrators.
Yeah.
So
That's when you put in your purse, right? Yeah.
I know a lot of people have asked me about the Excalibur has plastic trays and they're worried about off-gassing or different things.
Yeah.
One thing I always say is I do use parchment paper, and I think by the time you're done off-gas, you know, a couple of times it's off-gassed anyways, and the quality of nutrients you're getting outweighs the.
Yeah.
I don't know what you would have to say to it, but
And it's low temperature.
Yeah.
You know, that's the thing.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. It's like, I mean, we keep ours about 110, 115 degrees Fahrenheit.
Right. This isn't blasting yet. 400.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean,
It never smells like plastic.
Yeah.
Never has.
Never.
I agree.
Yeah.
But that's a realistic concern. I mean, that's an awesome question.
For sure, which is why you want to make sure you're getting at least the good parchment paper.
Yeah.
You don't want to get the crappy stuff, that white stuff.
Right.
So,
yeah, I was gonna go through. Is the bundle still good if I went through that?
It is, yeah, sure.
Okay, so as far as what you're gonna get in the course, you guys would get like over 100 recipes.
Yeah.
And then you're gonna get 7 detailed how-to video tutorials. So basically turning all the vegetables into the tasty breads, the wraps, the crackers, like she said, and then 2 live coaching calls.
Yeah, there's 2 more in January.
Oh, yeah, right. Yeah,
They're already going to get the